Hi friends, welcome back. My name is Addie Gennon of Well Loved Clothing, and I am so excited today because we are doing a thrift flip. I have my sewing machine ready, all of my other things in there, various places around here, but I am in my shed and it has been maybe 2 months since I've done a thrift flip. I've been doing some commission quilt coat things and all kinds of other thrift flips, but I haven't really taken the time to get super creative and just make some art out of clothing. And I've been doing a lot of the collections. So like I take the thrifted fabrics or the vintage fabrics and then I recreate them into a one-of-a-kind work of art. Ooh, I'm dropping stuff. But today we are doing basically what I used to do before I started doing that, and just going after some pieces that I just don't wear the style of piece anymore. And some of them are actually pieces that I bought specifically to flip and I just haven't done it yet. So we are going to go after those today. And seriously, every time I thrift flip something, I wear it to death for the next like 2 weeks, and then it just cycles through my wardrobe constantly. So I love that I can continue being super sustainable with my wardrobe while still using the pieces that I love, but then updating them into something that's either more now or more something that fits my personal style as it's grown. So this is just a great way to keep your closet sustainable and keep wearing the pieces you already own. And I think most of these pieces have been in my closet for like at least a year or two, and I have just wanted to update them. So I will be walking you through my inspiration, the before, the after, the between, all of the good stuff of the sewing process. And yeah, I'm so pumped. So let's get creative and let's get sewing. Okay, so piece number one, I am so excited about. We are going to go after this amazing tapestry set, kind of bralette pants sort of look, but I really want to make an elevated top. I typically do like the square neck top with the straps, which is amazing and I love it, but I kind of want to do a little lace up corsety kind of look, and I have a ton of bias tape from making my quilt coats, so I think that we can even do like the little bias edge. But the fabric that we will be using for this is this amazing tapestry tablecloth thing. So it is just this beautiful piece of fabric. It has this amazing fringe on the edges, but what really drew me in were these colors. Of course, I'm the biggest fans of the oranges, greens, yellows, and this has all of those, but it's not crazy bold. It is still that beautiful, rich tapestry feel, and the texture of this is also incredible, but it's not like one of those really thick blankets that you usually see these made out of. So I am so excited to turn this into one of those tapestry sets. I think it'll be one of those pieces that I wear the pants separate, the top is a little corset, and I've been dying for a corset top. So let's just jump right in because I'm a little nervous, but also super excited. So let's do it. We are kicking this off in true well-loved fashion without a pattern. If you haven't seen my thrift flips yet, just be aware I don't usually use patterns, but there are some patterns linked in the description below that are similar to this piece I'm making. So instead of a pattern, I use a piece of clothing that I want to mimic the shape of. So I have these yellow pants because they are the style that I want these tapestry pants to be, and I'm folding them in half and making sure the pointed crotch is pulled out, and then taking my fabric and folding it in half and then in half again and laying the pants down where I want the hem to be on the bottom. And I really want to keep the fringe on the bottom because I just think it might be cute. So we're laying that down against the edge, and then we're cutting 1 inch away from the pants to leave an inseam. And here's the final cut pieces. So now that I have 4 of my leg pieces cut, I'm going to pin up the inside crotch on both the front panel and the back panel, and sew both of those seams so you have 2 pieces that look like this. So now it's time to actually make them look like pants and do the inside and outside leg seams. So I'm lining them up from bottom to crotch first. I like to make sure that my legs are lined up, especially when the edges are already done, so like with this fringe. And so I'm lining up the fringe portion and then pinning up the leg, matching up the crotch, and then pinning up the other leg. And then repeating that same process on the outside of pants. So matching up my edges and just pinning all the way down.
Whenever I have seams that need to match up, I always like to start at that seam. And so I'm starting at the center crotch seam and sewing all the way down the leg, and then flipping the pants around to do the same thing from the inside crotch, and then sewing that straight stitch down the outside leg, and then finishing it with a zigzag stitch. That basically acts as a serger stitch. That basically finishes the edge, and you can see here that it needs to be right on the edge and just zigzag outside of it. That'll just keep the fabric from fraying. Then give them a quick flip right side out and toss them on to see if they're fitting.
Okay, I'm kind of freaking out because these are so perfect. They fit insanely well. Their waist is big, but that's because I'm going to put an elastic waistband in it. So the next thing we're going to do is basically make a waistband for this to put elastic in, because then they'll just fit over really nicely. And it's just the easiest way, and I want these to be really comfy pants. But they're so cute. Let's keep going.
First step for making this waistband is to measure the waist that you have right now. So I'm measuring all the way around the raw edge at the waist of the pants. And then getting my excess fabric that will also be used for a top and making sure to leave enough for the top, but cutting off any excess from cutting the pants, folding it in half to make sure that my waistband matches on both sides, and then cutting a strip about 3.5 inches thick and 2 inches longer than the waistband measurement that I just measured. Once that piece is cut out, I'm finding the center of it, laying my pants down right side out, and laying the two faces of fabric on top of each other and then pinning around that entire edge. Once that's pinned in place, I can take it to my machine and sew it all together, attaching the ends of the two pieces together at the back of the pants. Once that's all sewn, I'm taking it to my ironing board and folding a 1/2 inch down and pressing that all the way around. And once that's pressed, then I fold it 1 inch down, press that, and pin that to the front, and stitch the ditch all the way around that seam, leaving 2 inches so we can push the elastic through. To do that, measure a piece of elastic 2 inches shorter than your waist measurement, and then attach a safety pin to the end of it and just shove it through the channel that we just made. And once it comes out the other side, sew it together and sew that down.
Okay, so the pants are done. I'm wearing them. They're so cute, and I cannot wait to get onto this top. So we're gonna use the rest of the fabric, which is just this little bit here, to make that really cool corset kind of top. So let's do it.
So I'm coming at you with another patternless piece, but I am going to use a dress that I really like the shape of for this corset. So I'm folding my fabric in half. Really, it's just in half where the center of the top would be, and putting my dress folded in half right along the edge, because that's going to be the center of the top. And then I'm cutting around it, but taking notes of the dart on the bust. So I'm leaving 2 inches where that waistband is, and then leaving 1 inch everywhere else for seam allowance, but also adding about 2 inches to the strap because I want it to be a thicker strap piece. So really making adjustments as I go, and this is the final cutout piece. Using the bodice piece that I just cut as the pattern for my back piece, I'm folding about a same size section again, and then using that front piece, laying it down flat against the edge, folded edges together, and cutting all the way around that piece. But I want a higher back than the front, and so I'm only cutting a short scoop where the front has a deep scoop. Lay both bodice pieces face to face, and then sew up the sides and the straps together. And you should have something that looks like this. So now we are going to put darts in here because that's what's going to really give it its great shape. And so I am measuring across the bottom and then splitting that into 3 different panels because I'm using 2 darts on the front. So for my top, it was 19 inches across, and dividing that by 3, that's 6 1/3 inches. And so from side to dart should be 6 1/3 inches. In the middle, I should have a panel that's 6 1/3, and the other side should also be 6 1/3. This will just give you even spacing and make your darts look really professional. With all the math figured out, I pinned in place where those darts were going to go, and then pinned 5 inches up on the top for where I wanted the dart to stop. I repeated the same process on the back, and this is kind of what I ended up with. Also cut down the center of the back where the corset was going to be corseted. So now I'm going to use bias tape to cover all of my edges. It's a really easy way to finish off a piece, but I also loved the look of this top where I had all the bias tape edges. So I'm using this beautiful rust color and attaching it to the top. I'll rewind that because I know you want to see how it's done. I just thought it was a cool transition. So rewinding that a little, you pin the front of the bias tape to the front of the top. You can see some of the tape that I've already done, but this is the side portion. So I'm pinning that and then sewing those face to face, rolling it around the same way we did for the waistband of the pants, and pinning that to stitch the ditch again and finish this bias tape edge. I repeated that same process on the armholes, and once we had all of the edges done, I could make the buttonholes where the corset's going to go. Buttonholes are just a really easy way to ensure that your fabric won't fray, while also making a good hole for your corset ribbon. I also just think they're super cute. So pulling up my handy dandy diagram again, I know I want 2 buttonholes a 1/2 inch away from the edge, so I went ahead and marked those, and then I measured the space inside of those 2 pins, which was 12.5 inches, and then divided that by 5 because that's the amount of spaces between the pins, and ended up with 2.5 inches each, so each pin or buttonhole should be 2.5 inches away. With my buttonholes marked, I can now just use my buttonhole presser foot and it does all the work for me. I did use a very tiny button because I don't want these to be very big holes. My button was maybe 1/4 inch in diameter. And once the buttonholes are done, I can now thread the ribbon. To get the right length of ribbon, I just lay it out where it will end up being and cut that. And once I have that cut, I use my safety pin to put it through the holes, switch to the other side, lace up that side, and this top is done!
Oh my goodness gracious, good golly gosh, no idea what to say, because this is a dream set. This texture is so good, and I have been dying for a corset top that isn't like super typical corset, but still has like a touch of it, like this back detail and the high neck in the back. It's just so cute. And these pants, I love the little fringes on the bottom. I honestly love it with the turtleneck too. I just didn't want to take it off because I'm cold, but it's a whole look together this way, like the little bra top thing. I cannot believe that I'm wearing this masterpiece right now. Oh, it's so dang good. So in love, cannot believe that this is from a scarf tablecloth situation, but I'm super inspired, so we're gonna keep on moving and hopefully make another set. So let's move on. Okay, this next one is a little wild, a little out there, but what's new for the well-loved closet here? I think it's gonna be so much fun. As you can see, I have this turquoise robe. I think I'm gonna tell you the idea first because then maybe you can get a feel for it as you see the piece when I try it on. So the idea that I'm going for here is this. I couldn't really find exactly what I was going for, but this one is pretty similar with just the little skirt and the little jacket. And then the other two are kind of just INSPO picks because I think I really want to do a quilted mini dress, just something that fits really nicely, and then a jacket or like a little cropped something to go over the top, maybe puffy sleeves. But then I also kind of want to do more so of this one where it has that really puffy silhouette and just the crazy oversized, but I just don't know if I'll have enough fabric, and I'm really into that fitted quilted dress look. So now I will show you the amazing piece that we're going to work with today. This turquoise vintage robe. It's just plain gorgeous. What drew me in, of course, was this incredible turquoisey, softer kind of blue color, but then the details on the front with that floral embroidery, just to die for. I was speechless when I found this, and I've worn it a couple of times around the house, and I have worn it out a couple of times too, but there are just some pieces that I don't feel like absolutely amazing in, and I think that this could be something absolutely amazing. And so I'm really excited to change this into that little set, and I'm just way too excited to figure out how to use all of this magic, so let's get to it.
Okay, let's get into this robe. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. So I am laying it flat, and then I'm using a green dress. Once again, no pattern, but I love the shape of this green dress, and so I'm laying it out in the center, and I want this embroidery to be straight down the center of the front of this dress. So I'm making sure it all lines up, and then cutting around the dress, leaving an inch of an inseam around the whole thing. I'm also cutting straight up the side so I can add darts or change the shape later. It's just better to be conservative with your cutting on this front. I'm also not doing the neckline yet because I'm not sure what shape. So once I have those pieces cut out, I am laying them face to face and pinning and sewing them, finishing the stitches with a zigzag stitch until you have something like this. So now I have to figure out the neckline, so I grab another yellow dress that I think has a really cute neckline that I want to copy, and I just cut the back a little shorter than the front scoop, which is why I also hadn't sewn the straps yet, so I would have some mobility for this option. So once I have that cut, I'm pinning and sewing the shoulder straps, and then cutting down the center of the back because I want this to have a zipper, and I've never put in a zipper before, so please bear with me, seamstresses, I'm so sorry. I will put a tutorial of how to do this in the description because I just kind of did it in an easy way, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I just pinned face to face with one side, sewed that down with the zipper foot, which was really helpful, and then pinned the other side down face to face. I really don't know how to explain it because it was hard to do, but we did it. We accomplished it. First zipper in this dress. Go watch the tutorial if you want to know how. I am also aware that this may be incorrect, but I just zigzag stitched the raw edges to the zipper, and it worked well. It finished my edges, so yay, we accomplished it. With the zipper done, I could actually try it on and see how I wanted to take it in at the sides. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do darts or just take it in, but it's nice and stretchy, so I figured I would just take in the sides. So I matched up where my center was, and taking my waist measurement, I pinned 2 inches from the edge, and then essentially just made a dart on the edge of this fabric. So you can see the kind of curved shape here, and I did have to adjust it a few times just to fit me perfectly, but well-tailored clothing takes some time. With the shape pinned out, I sewed it down and then cut off the edges and zigzag stitched the edge, which means this baby is almost done. So all we have left is to finish off those edges, which I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the last piece with my bias tape, but I have this really cute yellow bias tape that I think is going to be adorable. So I'm opening it up and pinning it face to face underneath that first fold around the neckline. Once that's pinned and sewn, I can cut off the excess edge of the zipper because I'm going to hide it in this bias tape and add a clasp. So I'm folding that edge in, rolling the bias tape over, and then pinning it all the way around the neckline and stitching the ditch, making sure to pick up that bias tape on the other side. I'm then repeating the process for the edges on the sleeves, which will complete the dress portion. I am beyond with this dress. I cannot wait to try it on, but I'm not going to until I finish the little jacket. So we are going to take the extra fabric from earlier and make some kind of little top thing. So let's do it. Okay, so I think my plan for this is to just crop it. I might eventually put a different zipper in it so it opens, but right now it's a closed zipper and I just don't want to mess with another zipper. So I am cutting off the excess fabric and then measuring where I want it to be cropped, marking that with a pin, and then once I have that laid out flat again, I'm measuring how far the pin was from the bottom and going about 1.5 inches below that so I have space to roll the hem. So once I have the excess cut off, I'm just doing a rolled hem, so it's super simple. I'm just folding about 1/2 inch over and then a whole inch over and pinning that down, sewing it down, and this baby is done! I cannot believe this. This is the best thing I've ever made. Easily done, best thing I've ever made. I'm just in shock, honestly. This is so cute. This is the little jacket piece. And this was super easy. I kind of just hemmed the bottom of it. And I think eventually I will put in an actual zipper that can undo. So it stops here, which honestly, like, kind of a cute thing too. This feels very posh. I feel like this is garden party. It's so cute. The colors are amazing. The embroidery is so good. But let me show you just the dress. Is this not the cutest thing? I'm
freaking out. It fits so dang well and makes me feel so good. Perfect touch of cute and classy, and it feels so mod, but still so modern at the same time. And yes, I did put in that zipper, thank you very much. It's just to die for. So cute. So thank you so much for thrift flipping with me today. I hope you had as much fun as I did, because this felt so good to get back into sewing just for creativity. I hope this has inspired you to find new ways to create new things out of old things. And yeah, just keep your closet sustainable and fun. Let me know which piece is your favorite in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel. You are well loved. Bye!